Ideogram is my go-to when it comes to headshot creations for social media, especially YouTube thumbnails. I used to struggle creating thumbnails, not anymore. It's actually a lot of fun, and this video will step you through. So, of course, anything that has a headshot, you can use this for. I'm talking about Ideogram. Ideogram recently launched what it's called its character feature, and that'll be found here. And you just go in here and you can upload all the headshots you want. Now, some definitely work better than others, as you'll see. You can see today I got my cream collared shirt on, so I did a couple here. This is an old one I did. And let's take a look and see how this works. So when you get in here, you will upload whatever headshots you have. You can play around with them. And once you have what you want, you'll go in and you can start creating. Now, I don't care for this image that much. And actually what's interesting, if you take a look at it, it's me, but the outputs, which I did illustrations, and you can do a lot of different things for this, for your creations. You can see these are not as good as some of the other ones. Let's see here. This one created some really cool stuff. So you can see here, this is the one I actually used for this video's thumbnail. I thought this turned out really great. You can see it did some realistic ones. You know what? Ideogram's just not there yet with the realistic. Now, maybe I could work a little bit more on the prompts, but it's just not quite there. You can tell it's not really me. But when you do the illustrated or the graphic representation, I think it does a really nice job. And this is definitely a popular concept for YouTube thumbnails. Now you can see I've been, cranking these out left, right, and center, playing with different backgrounds, different illustrations, different prompts. And this is really what it takes. But here's the beauty of it. Okay, you spend a little bit of upfront time, take a bunch of headshots. If you have some professional headshots, that's even better. Upload them. And you play around with a bunch of different prompts. But here's the thing. Once you get a few that you really like, then you go into it and you have a really good prompt. So this, for instance, here, we're going to go in here, we're going to close this out. You go in here, you're going to see all the settings that you use for this. And trust me, once you start playing around a lot with this, you're going to forget which settings you use for different creations. So this is really handy. But here we go. Here's the prompt I did. Okay. And here is the magic prompt. So my original prompt was really short. It was like create a thumbnail, illustrated, and that sort of thing. So I start broad and I want to see what it produces. And once it gets close to what I want, like it will generate a much longer, more detailed prompt. And then I work with that and then I'll play around. So in previous iterations, it had shades of orange and teal as the background. And for this particular video, I wanted to just keep it just orange and simple. And so that's what I did. I just changed that. You can change the little things. You could change, smiling or frowning or whatever it is. But once you have a really good prompt that's somewhat consistent in producing really good looking headshots, then it makes it so much easier. All right, so here we are. We're going to go here because this is the one I did most of, and you can see a variety of them. I'm just giving you an idea. And right now, I think the burning question really is this: is Ideogram's not free, all right? So you do have to pay for it. The question is it good enough to pay for to use for this purpose? In my experience, given I do somewhat regularly publish YouTube videos, for me it is, because I'm not terribly good at graphic design in Canva, and this just really speeds it up. Now, you're probably also wondering, what about the text? Can you put text on there? Now, I tested some with text way early on. You can see it likes to put hair on people with shaved heads. And while that may be an improvement, I don't think that that's a really good idea to radically change my appearance like that for thumbnails. You can see this one's kind of cool. It's a little bit too exciting for my taste, but you can see it does some really cool stuff. And it did a lot of these pretty good right out of the gates. You can hear some more of the realistic photos. I just don't think they're very good. I don't like them at all. I'd rather actually just upload my real headshot into Canva and work off that. But here was a few I tried with getting actual text on the thumbnail. Now, I thought this one was actually really good. Okay, so it is possible, and we could take this prompt and we could work with this and get the text on there. But I found, but then of course the problem was the hair. We got a hair problem there, right? So I couldn't use this. and the other ones won't work like that. Now I could have kept working on it, but at some point you have to decide, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go just for the headshot thumbnail. And then in Canva, because their fonts are pretty easy in Canva. There's a lot of templates you can work from, you can just make your own and bubble them or do whatever. It's not that hard. So you can see what I did is I actually took one that I made today, and then I just added this is some template text I have, or font, and then I just add this, create a box. Boom, it's very simple. I could add some drop shadows. I can maybe do a few more things. But at the end of the day, I think this is, I like them simple. I like them clear. I don't want them too messy at this point. And so this is the one I went with, right? But definitely play around with the text for yourself, because it might save you a lot of time and you might come up with even better looking fonts. All right, so let's take a look at what our options are when we work with these. And again, it's really trial and error. And the original goal you're really looking for is to get a couple that look really good, because once you have that, you've got a default foundation prompt from which you can work from. And I use Ideogram for way more than this. I use Ideogram for Facebook ads. I use it for pretty much any ad creative I'm making. I've used it for featured images and blog posts. Like, Ideogram really is my umbrella go-to. Now, there are other AI image creators out there that are usually niched, and there may be some that specifically for headshots and so forth. But because I'm already paying for Ideogram, I just like to use it. And this is a new feature. It used to not do this. And I suspect that this has been very popular for Ideogram, because this is clearly a really high in-demand purpose, is to be able to take photos of ourselves and create cool looking visuals. Now, our options are pretty much the same for any other Ideogram type of images or visuals that you would make. So this is where I forget to change all the time, because I'm changing between square and this and vertical, and I'm constantly changing it. So I forget to do that. So this is, when you're doing a thumbnail, you're going to want 16:9. So just remember to do that. You've got those options. And then we've got style. Now, this is fairly rudimentary at this point, which is fine. I like auto, but what I did do is, even though I selected auto, I prompted that it's illustrated. All right. If I put realistic image instead on auto, it's going to generate a more realistic image. And as I've said already, and I'm sure you agree, these just aren't looking that great. I really much prefer this. Okay, so you can try the realistic, you can try the fiction, you can try the auto. You just play around and see what it is that's going to come out and work best for you. Now, the last feature I want to show when it comes to this feature offering in Ideogram is the templates. We got a lot of templates. Now I'm going to play around with this right now. In fact, I haven't. I kind of like this. Well, it's a statue. I'm not terribly wild about that, but we're looking for something could be interesting. Here we go. The villain look. Let's try that. Let's see what happens. I usually bang out a few at a time and just let them go, because as you can see, I have a handful of thumbnails that work really well. I probably got a few more in here that I could use, but it really does take, for every maybe 12, and you can see how quick this is, right? Like this was seconds, not even a minute for each of these, and you get 4 at a time. Okay, it's okay. It's something to work from. It's not going to work on this channel, so I'm not going to use it. But maybe if I, was doing something where it required some sort of medieval look, then yeah, this would do the job. This would be cool. This is interesting. So you can play around with the templates. It's just really trial and error. But once you get it dialed in, and I know if as a real estate agent or interior designer or whatever, you're promoting locally and you're creating a lot of visual content in your marketing, likely, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this. This tool is going to most likely help speed up getting all of that done. In fact, you can delegate this really. It's pretty easy to just get people to onboard onto your Ideogram account, and they'll start working on it, and it's not that hard. It'll save you a lot of time. So this is a really cool tool. I keep adding more and more characters in here, different types of headshots. The last one I want to do here is try this. Now, I actually kind of like this photo. I didn't like this one, but this one turned out. In fact, I took this right here. So you can just do a headshot straight off there like that. You take the photo, it's added right into your account, and then you're ready to go. So let's just do one last one here. We're gonna keep, I don't want the villain look at all, so I'm gonna go back to my creations here. I wanna go back to the one I'm using for today because that was a good prompt. If I can find it, well, I'm not gonna keep wasting time. Let's go with this, here we go. Let's take this prompt. Let's try the magic. Again, it's trial and error. I've created probably hundreds of thousands of images in Ideogram, and it really is trial and error no matter which way you slice it. All right, let's try this here. Let's not forget our style. We want auto, digital illustrated image. We got our size correct, done, done, done. And let's generate. This will be the last one I show you. This video is really geared to just give you an idea of how this character thing worked and how you can use it for your social media. I'm focusing on YouTube thumbnails in this particular one because that's a really great use. But if you needed to create Instagram posts with a headshot of you or pretty much anything for your website, it will do the job. All right, this actually worked pretty good. I would actually use this. Now, I might drop the suit, might drop the suit, but you know, this one's working here. This is pretty good. I don't really like, this is actually not a bad looking one. I could probably remove the background in Canva, and then I would be able to add my own background there quickly and add the text, right? So the one last thing I want to say is you also need to prompt where you want the head to focus. And you can see it doesn't always listen. AI right now is at the stage where it's obviously super cool, but it's not perfect. And it's got a ways to go for a lot of different uses. It's good enough right now where I think it's worth using for a lot of things. But if it were perfect, or let's say 99.5% perfect, it would be banging out usable thumbnails or whatever visuals we need on the first go. But it's not quite doing that yet. Like for instance here, this is a good example. I specifically say short beard and bald head, right? Okay, well, I guess this qualifies as a bald head, but we've got the horseshoe look, right? That you can see me right here. I don't have the horseshoe look. I go for the full shave. So it didn't really follow that. Now, it maybe if I change that to shaved head, it would not do that, okay? So that's why it's not perfect yet. And let's see, this one is usable. That was the first shot. Overall, like, this is just one feature of Ideogram that I use regularly, but I use it for so much more. So if you're going to use it just for this, is the cost worth it? Maybe. If you use it for other things in your marketing, then definitely, because it's actually relatively inexpensive for what you get. And compared to the cost of hiring, even a low-cost freelancer to create visuals like this, this is peanuts. It's a fraction. It's incredible. Thanks for watching.